Good morning and welcome to Internet Roundup. I'm Chuck. That's Josh.
I'm Josh.
We do the Stuff You Should Know podcast bi-weekly.
Yes, but not every other week, twice a week. That we need to come up with a word that means twice a week and another word that means every other week. Not the same word.
Is it the same thing?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I'll look it up. But
man, we can put astronauts on the moon.
Nice catch.
But we can't figure it out.
Yep, bi-weekly, appearing or taking place every 2 weeks or twice a week. That is stupid, everyone. Stupid.
We should just end the show right now.
Yeah.
And this would just be a massive online, well, not so massive, but be a very small online protest. You know? This is the Internet Roundup, and what we do is we usually say some nonsense at first.
Yeah, something stupid.
Check.
Bi-weekly.
And then we talk about two different things that we found on the internet that we're rounding up.
And then the internet goes to sleep until the next time we record.
That's right. Very bye. So I was just talking to my wife the other day about old TV shows and the fact that it's pretty neat that when we were kids, we watched a lot of shows from like the 50s and 60s and 70s.
Yeah. Because
they were on reruns.
Sure. Nick at Night was killing it.
Even before Nick at Night, like the shows I watched most were like Green Acres and Addams Family and the Munsters and Petticoat Junction and Gilligan's Island. And
I never watched Petticoat Junction. I did watch all that other stuff.
Yeah?
Yeah. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Coming home from school watching Flintstones.
Yeah.
They were all reruns. It's not like they were new.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We grew up on reruns. You don't see those anymore.
Well, or they're just, Everybody Loves Raymond. Is that like?
Yeah. That's like an old show now.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it is.
So Mr. Ed was one of these shows, and Josh found this cool thing about how they got Mr. Ed to talk, and it's almost animal abuse.
Yeah. This is from the Straight Dope.
Yeah.
Cecil Adams' website. Cecil Adams is the all-time great explainer of stuff, and somebody wrote in to say, I think he's got his beat, man.
All right.
At the very least, he's been doing it literally since before I was born.
Right.
But somebody wrote in to say, how did they make Mr. Ed talk? And yeah, like you say, it could be considered a form of abuse.
I wonder if they could do that today, is what I'm asking.
I don't know. No, they just CGI the lips moving.
Yeah, that's true.
So
the role was created by showbiz legend Alan Young. That's a direct quote.
That was Wilbur.
Yes.
His buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was awesome. I mean, he was a benevolent owner of a talking horse.
Sure, who allowed the horse to be abused.
That's right.
For yucks.
And his story has always been is they put a wad of substance that said was sort of like peanut butter in between the cheek and gum that the horse would be like, this stuff is disgusting. Let me get it out of my mouth. Animal abuse?
Oh, no.
No?
Not necessarily. More animal annoyance.
Yeah, but akin to peanut butter? What does that mean? Like,
well, it was probably peanut butter and like Arabic gum or something like that.
Oh, okay. Sure.
So supposedly that is the pat answer that Alan Young always gave. And Cecil Adams himself ran into Alan Young at some point and asked him, how did they get the horse to talk?
This again.
Right. And apparently that was Alan Young's thing. That's what I had always heard. That's how they did it.
Yeah,
that it
me
was
too.
Peanut butter, and he was trying to get it out, and they would just sync up the dialogue from there.
Pretty easy.
Apparently, someone else wrote in and said, yes, they probably did use peanut butter, but they also may have used some sort of like thin twine or wire connected to like Mr. Ed's lips. And pulled his lips to make his mouth move as well sometimes, too. Not necessarily where they were doing all the movement, but enough of a tug so that he knew to, like, move his lips himself. Because, again, this horse was a trained actor.
Sure.
It wasn't just some horse off the street.
Yeah, they call it the marionette theory. So literally somebody kind of above puppeting these horse lips.
Yeah. That's a little abusive, perhaps. Definitely more than the peanut butter stuff.
Yeah, maybe just annoying again, though.
So this remains technically unanswered or answered twice, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, or they could have used a combination of both.
Right.
Along with, certain injectable drugs, maybe, or I don't know.
Horse tranquilizers. But if you want to go spend some hours learning neat stuff, go to straightdope.com.
Great site.
Cecil Adams' site.
One of the original great websites.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think it went Straight Dope, Uncle John's Bathroom Reader, Stuff You Should Know, as far as the line of
That's everything
information
that's ever happened on the internet.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, and the second thing I dug up, this guy named Ted Richards, he's a retired shoe factory worker.
Yep.
And
in Bristol, England.
Yeah, if you look at this photo right here, you might know, well, you'll notice a bunch of things about this guy.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of body modification in order to look more like his parrot.
Yes, his beloved parrot, who he says he wanted to have his ears taken off, is his most recent body modification.
Because parrots don't have ears.
Right. And he wants to look more like his parrot.
I got these dumb ears keeping me from looking like my parrot.
Exactly.
Is what he said.
So, I mean, he said he could not be happier with the surgery. He said he can't stop looking at himself in the mirror.
He said it's the best thing that has happened to me. That was a quote.
He's adorable how much he loves his parrot. It's just beautiful. He said that he likes to make jokes about it. Like he walked into the supermarket and on a windy day, and he said, "Blimey, it's so windy out, it blew me ears off." And he said everybody in the supermarket had a chuckle.
Yeah. And then they ran
back
away from the strange freak.
So what's his next one, Chuck? His next body
previous to, let's back up a little. He had his face and eyeballs tattooed, if you'll notice, to look more like the parrot. Eyeballs tattooed. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if I said that correctly. He had his eyeballs tattooed.
His eyeballs. Oh, yeah, I see that
Needles
now. I don't
into his eyeballs.
Wow. I mean, he definitely had the area around his eyes clearly tattooed, but his eyeballs as well, huh?
That's what it says. And so the next thing, of course, you could probably guess, he wants a beak.
Yes.
And he's going to apparently save up for some surgery and get a beak.
I think this man is absolutely sweet that he loves his parrot that much. That's adorable to me.
I don't know. I think something else might be going on here.
To each his own.
Well, agreed.
And if this dude wants to do that, he's hurting no one.
That's certainly true. And he at least could contact Jim Rose and join his circus
sure.
As Parrot Man.
I'm sure there would be a place for him there, especially once he gets a beak.
Oh, yeah.
I want to do an update on that. I want to see what the beak looks like.
Maybe he already called Jim Rose and he was like, "You got a beak?" He's like, "Call me back when you have a beak."
Call me when you got a beak.
But there was one side note here. He had a hard time keeping his glasses on because he didn't have ears.
Oh,
so
yeah.
He did what any person would do who had their ears removed.
LASIK.
Nope. He had 2 little pins put in his head to sit the glasses on.
I see that. Very smart.
Yeah.
This guy's a practical dude.
Exactly. So hats off to you, Ted Richards, for being your own man.
Yes, for sure.
And good luck with that beak, sir. And we'll see you next week on Internet Roundup.
Yes. Oh. That was not a parrot.
Polly want a cracker?
That's a parrot. Okay.